What is the worst thing that has ever happened to you in a relationship? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. She left her hard drive plugged into my computer. She had been insisting that I had been cheating for months, and I suspected she was projecting, so I looked. She was messing guys for money in my bed. I had to call her dad to come get her. She would not leave my house. She got mad after I broke up with her because she caught an STD and I didn't, so she put stuff in my gas tank. Just awful all around. I never understood why it seems so common for cheaters to act like you're the one who did them wrong for breaking up with them after you catch them, even to the point that they take revenge. I would never cheat. But if I did and was caught and broken up with, I'd probably just whimper away with my tail between my legs, not find ways to make the person's life more miserable.
I don't know. Maybe the lack of introspection and accountability comes from the same personality traits that make someone a cheater. Story 2. Spent my teens and 20s boy crazy and dating lots of boys who treated me like dirt. Every single one of them dumped me for not being pretty enough as soon as they found another girl. I gave up all dating for over a decade, worked on myself extensively with therapy, etc. Eventually, a guy patiently helped me regain trust through his friendship that then mutually turned romantic over years. We got engaged, were planning marriage and our future together. Suddenly, he started getting distant, then broke up with me over a text message. There was another girl, of course. He had the audacity to complain to me about her. Losing all my trust in men the first time didn't hurt, but regaining that trust only to have it torn away, just like every other time, has literally damaged me beyond repair. No therapy can fix this.
I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy. I wouldn't even wish to reverse this back to him, because I'm not a heartless monster. Story 3. He wasn't feeling great all week. His blood pressure was really high. Told him to go to the doctor, go to the fire station next door. He didn't listen. Started feeling like crap on Monday and died Friday night. He came in from the garage to see when dinner would be done. We danced in the kitchen and I sent him outside for another 30 minutes. I found him asleep on the garage floor when I went out to tell him dinner was ready. Wondered why he laid down in the garage to nap instead of coming inside. I realized his lips were blue. Called and started CPR. The fire station was next door, so they were there in less than a minute. They said he had a pulse, so I went inside to pack a few things for the hospital. Someone came inside to tell me it was all over. He was only 41, lost him almost 5 years ago. Our 20th anniversary would be next week. I'm taking the day off from work to do something we would have enjoyed. Story 4. I discovered she was cheating on me with my older brother. It felt like I was getting stabbed in the back by two loved ones. As the little brother in this situation, I have fist fought my older brother's best friend for deciding to confide in me that he had been porking his GF. My big brother has always and will always be my closest friend. Literally saved my life more times than I can count, and has always been the person my wife, parents, etc. have called to talk sense into me when I am balls deep in addiction or doing something stupid. I've matured a bit in my 30, but he used to be the only person that could resonate with me and get through my thick skull. Story 5. My ex put her new relationship status on Facebook, and that's how I found out I was single. Good old Facebook dating statuses. My first boyfriend and I were long distance. He broke up with me before my senior year in high school, but he promised to wait for me. He said that we could try the relationship again after I graduated and visited his home state. I began noticing that he spent less and less time talking with me. He always gave the excuse that he was hanging out with or helping this one female friend. A few months later, I scrolled through my Facebook feed and saw that my ex posted a status declaring he was in a relationship with that female friend. I felt betrayed and lied to. I've never been good at handling false or broken promises, even to this day, and that incident is one big reason why. I would have handled it better now, but as a 17-year-old going through her first breakup, I felt like the world was ending. Story 6. My wife left me for a good friend of ours. This good friend was very charismatic, but also pretty terrible. He bragged about his past exploits and felt the most pride when it included breaking up a couple only to dump the girl. We both were horrified by these stories, yet somehow it did not dissuade my wife, and we became the next couple he broke up. That was the worst, and I have not been the same since. I stopped being friends with two guys who asked me to lie to one of their GFs that they were behind her back. They gave each other a STD that she could have gotten, which would affect her chances to get pregnant. This guy asked me to cover for both of them. When she called me crying her eyes out to ask the truth, I told her, I lost 2 good friends that day, but I'm glad they can't do something evil like that to me. Gotta take responsibility for who you hang with. Even if you're a victim, take responsibility for things you could change next time that would have you avoid such an outcome. Story 7. Was broken up shortly after losing my job due to a terrible car accident putting me out of work. We lived together nearing the end of our lease, and she left me to take care of her dog and stress about where I'm going to live and how I'm going to make ends meet. Had support from a few friends, one in particular who would check up on me and hang out with me while I drank myself to death. I pleaded with her in desperation to take me back, and she did. Then, after a drunk night at my apartment, woke up to her coming home and telling me she messed that very friend keeping tabs on me that night. Then found out after that she was messing with him the whole time. She broke up with me to relieve herself of the guilt to mess him, and likely had tons of overlap she didn't disclose. Absolute worst year of my whole life. Story 8. I've experienced this myself. Met a super attractive girl at work, different departments. We were chatting, texting and eventually went to the beach as a first date on a weekend. I thought we had a really nice day together. Hit her up to make plans for the next weekend the Monday after, and she had a sudden change in attitude towards me. She went from extremely warm and inviting to suddenly taking forever to respond to texts and doesn't pick up for calls. To this day, I still do not know where things went wrong and who is even at fault here. Story 9. Partner's mother passes away from cancer, and there's such a mess that I handle all the funeral arrangements. She claims emotional meltdown as justification to sleep around with randos. Refuses therapy but accuses me of stealing her inheritance. Mom was flat broke when I protest, invites an army deserter addict into our home and throws me out on the street after blowing all the money on opiates. I had a nervous breakdown after that and was homeless for 18 months afterwards. Story 10. Unbeknown to me, the girl I was dating had links to organized crime in our city. She used to supplement her income with coke dealing and organizing escorts for guys. We had a big argument over the phone. She got drunk and fell down the stairs in her house. She called up her friends and told them I'd pushed her, so they came over to sort me. Fortunately, or unfortunately, they got the wrong house and attacked my neighbors. The police were called and multiple arrests were made. The police later raided my GF's house. Large quantities of drugs were found, and she ended up doing time. In 2013, she crashed her car while out of her mind on booze and cocaine and was pronounced at the scene. Story 11. He ended things out of blue. He had previously said he wanted to marry me. We'd started planning a life together. I had never been happier in my life with someone. Never felt so sure about something. It devastated me. I had felt in my bones, he was it. I haven't felt that way about anyone since. It's been 10 years. It took a while to process. If I'm honest, years. I don't miss him or love him anymore. I just wish I could have what he took from me. It took me years too, like way longer than I would admit to anyone in real life. I eventually just stopped talking about it because I knew they were bored of the subject, and really, what else was there to say? I wouldn't take him back under any circumstances. It's just, I miss who I thought I was with him. Someone who had it all figured out, and who was with someone who loved me without doubt, who would never hurt me. I miss what we built together over the years. I miss the house, the financial security. I guess most of all, I just miss trusting someone unconditionally, and I know that'll never happen again. Not really. Story 12. I recently found my ex-husband's body. We had been separated a little while, but we were still super close. The last time I saw him, he apologized for a lot and mused the idea of us getting back together. It was sweet. Later, I realized I hadn't heard from him in what felt like a little too long, and his phone was off when I tried to call and text. I was worried, so I went to his apartment. The door was unlocked. I opened the door and found his body. It was in the same position as he was when I left the last time I'd seen him. He had been since then. It was accidental. I don't want to say the details, but I know it was just tragically accidental. I'm obviously not over it. I don't think I want to get over it. But I wish so hard that I could be flooded with memories of his face that contained life, laughter, smiles. Because all my memories of these things are stamped and overlaid with the image of his face. It sucks. Rest easy, Jeff. I love you. I know you would have made a great father to her if things had gone that way. I know you knew that too. I'm sorry. Story 13. Connected with this girl and spent an ungodly amount of hours together hanging out, dates, deep conversations and plans for the future, over 4 months of courting, situation shipping basically. Talking fine one day, setting plans up for the week, and then boom, no responses. Gave space, messaged once through the week, nothing, tried to call and nothing. Waited through the weekend and sent a message basically confronting the situation, but leaving it open to continue to communicate. She unfollows me on Insta and still no response. It's a huge mind crap. Went from everyday communication, multiple times together a week, everything clicking so well, amazing chemistry, and then boom. Bottom line is, I think based on her previous relationship experiences, she has an anxious, fearful, avoidant attachment style. And due to this, once emotions got more heavily involved and we were bonding, she got scared of getting hurt again and pulled the ripcord. The part is the ghosting. I would have been hurt regardless, but at least a convo of her saying, hey, I'm not emotionally available and this moved too fast for me, etc., would have been a lot better. I feel bad for her at the end of the day, but there's nothing I can do but keep on pushing. It messes with my head because you always want closure, but I know it's not my hang-up and I have better people to meet. Story 14. He left his MySpace open on my laptop and I snooped. He had been selling himself on Craigslist for gay unprotected sex. He was also an insane Nazi supporter and had an entire secret profile dedicated to Hitler and was posting horrible videos depicting deaths of certain minority groups and other hate crimes. I was 16 and he had gotten me pregnant, which I thought was a burst condom, but he posted that he poked holes in all his condoms to impregnate me on purpose. Had a miscarriage at 10 weeks due to the stress of finding all of this out at once. I immediately dumped him and got myself tested and couldn't believe it, but I was clean. He got my name tattooed on him after we broke up in an attempt to win me back. When that didn't work, he robbed a Radio Shack that he worked at for money to buy me an engagement ring. He went to jail, and from my latest snooping appears to have gotten his crap together. Wish him the best, but holy crap, what a rough time that was. Story 15. We talked a lot about having children through the relationship. She told me it would happen after we got married, bought her a huge ring, paid for the destination wedding. Then it became after the honeymoon 3 weeks in Europe, which I understood. Honeymoon was a solid 8 months after the wedding, dried up after the wedding. The day after the honeymoon was over, she told me she didn't know if she wanted kids. We discussed this for another 5 months, where she refused to decide. I told her finally she had to go live with her mother until she figured it out. She came back and told me that it wasn't that she didn't want kids, but that I would be a bad father, and she then packed her things and left. I think it was likely a combination of factors, but she was hoping the desire to have kids would grow, but it never did. 7 years of my life. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your those in the comment below.